Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio from Boise, Idaho. This is your host, Adam Graham. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. I do want to encourage you to check out our other podcasts. In particular, I'm highlighting our public domain video theater, Detective Video Theater, where twice a month we post a public domain detective television program. Right now, we are alternating between Mr. and Mrs. North and Dragnet. And we are also now available on Spotify. And in addition to our new episodes, we also have been posting our archived episodes since our Spotify show is kind of a separate thing from the RSS feed we have on Apple and Podbean and places like that. We have been posting episodes from our archives, so currently you're getting 2 videos every week. On average, 3 of those come from our archives, and 1 is the latest episodes. And we'll continue doing that until we've got all of our episodes over on Spotify. But now it's time to talk about Hot Copy. Special thanks to Jim Goodluck of the Hot Copy Radio Theater for providing some information that's been helpful to me in getting this series right, because it is a bit obscure. Hot Copy Radio Theater recreates lost episodes of this series and releases them as podcasts every month on the 10th. At this point, they've done around 3 dozen episodes from actual scripts, and you can check them out wherever you get your podcast from. Now, in terms of the history of this series, Hot Copy was actually introduced to radio on October 4th, 1941, and America was introduced to Anne Rogers and her search for news for her column, Second Glance. I went through newspaper logs and was able to take a look at details as to what she got up to, and it was a lot of adventures that would typically be the province of your male-led detective series. Things like Tong Wars and kidnapping, and all sorts of crime, murder, mayhem, and of course, as the war started, only a couple months after the series premiered, you'd have enemy Axis activity, which would all be fair game for her during her 3 years on the air. I should note that some older old-time radio resource books state that their series was not on the air between September 1942 and July 1943. But my review of newspaper logs shows that it pretty much aired continuously. Now, even though Hot Copy was on the air, Anne Rogers was actually played by multiple actresses, and honestly, most of them were quite obscure. We only have 2 recordings in circulation, and these feature the last actress to play her, who was actually the most famous. Betty Lou Gerson took over the role of Anne Rogers in December of 1943 and would play her for the last 11 months of the show's run when it went off the air in November 1944. Now, that introduction out of the way, here from February 27th, 1944, is Death Studies the Angles.
O Cedar, the greatest name in housekeeping, presents Hot Copy. And
so, my friends and fellow citizens, I promise that if elected to this high office, I shall do everything within my power to clean our fair city of vice and corruption. Oh, you, eh? What do you want here? No, never mind, I know. More money, eh? Well, you're not going to get it. I've been a sucker long enough. You can't make me pay, and I won't. I'm not afraid of you any longer. After tonight, I'll be top dog in this kennel, and if you try to squeeze one more penny out of me, I'll have you behind bars so fast. Understand? Now get out of here. Get out before I throw you out.
before we present today's exciting adventure of the dynamic newspaper columnist Ann Rogers, whose stories are always hot copy. A word from O Cedar. Now, some people might say the flowers that bloom on a woman's hat in February are the first sign of spring. But there's an even better way of telling that spring's just around the calendar. It's the fresh, bright as new colors you see in linoleum that's had a coat of O Cedar self-polishing wax. You know, O Cedar self-polishing wax does such a grand job of reviving dull, winter-worn linoleums, you could almost call it liquid sunshine. And it's such an easy way to bring springtime life and color into any room where you use linoleum floor coverings. There's practically no work to it because O Cedar self-polishing wax needs no rubbing or buffing, whether you use it on linoleum, wood, or composition floors. Simply apply, then let it dry. In just 17 minutes, your floors are sparkling with beauty, easy to keep beautiful, fully protected against hard wear. Tomorrow, ask your store for O Cedar self-polishing wax. It pays. And now, a new and dramatic story of Ann Rogers' search for hot copy. Death Studies the Angles.
Spritely.
You calling me, Annie? Say, you ought to take these counterfeits.
Come away from that sideboard, Spritely, before you burst and create a scene.
Oh, now listen, Sugar Plums. In times like these, it'd be downright unpatriotic to let all this food go to waste.
Yeah, that's just where it will go if you're not careful.
What's that again?
To waste and hit some super rolls of fat
Oh,
around.
all right. You win, Miss Rogers. So long, Smorgasbord. How long are we going to hang around here, Sugar?
Oh, gotta wait and hear what Barnaby has to say. I'm thinking on getting some material for my column here tonight.
A speech?
Mm-hmm.
You mean the old goat's going to make with the vocal cords at this shindig?
Did you ever hear of a candidate for mayor missing an opportunity to beat his gums at a public gathing?
Oh, hiya, Pete.
Hi.
Oh, McNulty, what are you doing here?
What's it look like I'm doing? This paraphernalia I'm toting isn't a bag full of toys. Say, what's that in the big bowl? Caviar?
Yep.
Oh, chichornia. Step aside, Spritely, and let Uncle Mac have a whack at the rusky snack.
Don't you cameramen ever get a night off?
Sure, every time the printing plant burns to the ground. Say, this is the real McCoy, straight from Uncle Joe Starling's private fish pond. Have you tried it, Spritely?
Well, no, but I don't mind.
Spritely? There's many a stir.
Yeah, I know. That won't pull down over your hip. No, thanks, Pete. I'm on a diet, starting 2 minutes ago.
Suit yourself, all them all for me.
Yeah, what's that?
Hey, look what the cat dragged in. What's he doing at this ball?
Pete? Who, Pete?
Nicky Delianis over there, the tall guy with the jet black hair. See him? The skinny one.
Nicky Delianos? Pete the gambler?
And you can say that again, sister. Runs the biggest and most exclusive joint in town.
Yeah?
Admission by invitation only, all that kind of stuff. Golly, this is hot.
What do you mean?
Wait till old Barnaby's campaign manager gets a load of this uninvited guest. He'll blow 3 fuses. Barnaby running for mayor on an anti-vice ticket, and Nicky Delianis shows it at the announcement party.
Who's the girl with him?
Where?
There.
Oh, her? Boy, now I know there's going to be trouble before this shindig's over.
Why? Makes you say that. Who is she?
Who is she? Listen, Annie, can you keep a secret?
Secret? Oh, yes, of course.
Well, Barnaby can. Everybody around town knows that before he tossed his chapeau in the political ring, he was a regular visitor to Nicky's gambling casino.
He was?
Well, sure, I've seen him there 100 times myself.
What were you doing there?
Oh, winning a little, losing a little, depending on my luck.
I thought you said it was an exclusive joint.
Nicky's smart. He'd rather lower the tone of his casino by letting in a few poor but reckless newshawks like myself than take a chance on our exposing him to the cops.
So candidate Walter Barnaby used to gamble a little before he was chosen to represent the anti-vice party, didn't he? But the woman.
Did you ever hear of the Countess Valista?
Countess Valista? Of course.
Well, that is her.
Really?
Well, I'll be darned. Looks like royalty, doesn't she, Annie? Get a load of that cigarette holder. It must be a foot long.
Yeah, and as phony as everything else about the Countess. You notice there's no cigarette in the holder?
I know.
She never smokes, never takes a drink. But, oh, boy, can she take the boys in their fat and feverish 40s over the hurdle. She's been leading Walter Barnaby a merry chase for the past 3 months.
Oh, Pete, you're exaggerating. Walter Barnaby's married. He has 2 grown children.
Yeah, so he is. But did you ever see his wife? Oh.
Now what?
Barnaby's speech, I suppose. Here he comes on that platform.
Oh, I knew we should have left earlier.
Speech, that's my cue, kiddies. I'll see you later. Got to get up there near his nib so I can get a good angle. There's about 1 million other cameramen here.
Ladies and gentlemen. Friends,
You want to move forward a bit, Annie?
No, Spritely. I just want to hear what Barnaby says. Right now, I'm much more interested in watching Nicky and the Countess.
Why?
I think Pete's right. They're one-time pals deserting him to run on the anti-vice ticket. They may create a scene.
Oh, I see.
Great pleasure to present your friend and mine, the next mayor of our fair city, the Honorable Walter C. Barnaby.
Thank you. Thank you, my friends and fellow citizens all. It is with the utmost reluctance I have consented to say a few words to you tonight.
Yeah, I bet.
Slightly high.
I want this to be a night of pleasure and good fellowship.
Annie! Miss Annie, what is it? Look at Nicky. Nicky. He's drawing a picture.
Oh.
Well, for Pete's sake, what do you think of that? A trick cigarette lighter.
Yeah, I've seen him for sale in tobacco shops occasionally a start for a moment.
Yeah, it was pointed right at Barnaby.
Hey, you better keep quiet, Spritely.
First and foremost, I have this to say. If I am elected mayor of our city, I tell you with assurance that I will tolerate no vice in any shape or form in this town. Illicit trades and professions must go. Gambling will be eradicated. This is going to be a clean city.
That's the way to talk, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, give me room. I want a shot of him saying that.
Me too. Turn your head around this way a little more.
Mr. Barnaby.
Hold it. No, take one more, please.
Oh, two damn sight subs hit my eyes.
Oh, don't they?
What's the matter?
Apparently Barnaby's ex-friends don't like the tone of his remarks. They're leaving.
Ah, they're not so dumb after all.
Let's hear what he has to say.
In the past, I have been accused of many human frailties. In Flanders, I will fight tooth and claw. I will never allow.
Annie, what's the matter with him?
I don't know. What's Bill?
To undermine my character, I will fight tooth and... I will fight...
Mr. Barnaby, catch him, somebody.
Holy smokes, I want a shot of that. Water. Bring water, somebody. Quick.
Hurry, let us through, please. Nothing in. Sorry, excuse me.
Here, hold his head up. Here's the water.
What's wrong with him?
Excitement. He's fainted.
No.
Oh, no. What is it, Annie? A stroke?
No, it's not a stroke. Barnaby is dead.
Well, it sure was nice of you to drop my pictures off at the office like this and then give me a lift home, Ann. Thanks a lot.
Huh? Oh, right off, Pete.
Now, look, Ann, don't sit there brooding over what you saw tonight.
He went all of a sudden, didn't he?
Yep. 1 minute on his feet, the next flat on his puss, a dead fish.
You say the nicest thing.
Well, just goes to show how heart failure operates. Like that.
Heart failure. Is that what the doctor said?
Mm-hmm. What else could it have... Oh, now look, Ann, turn that nose for news the other way, will you? You're not trying to play like this is another murder case, are you?
I don't know, Pete. I'm just wondering. You know, there are several types of poison that cause instantaneous death resembling heart failure.
Poison? Oh, cut it out. Any doctor can tell when a man's been poisoned.
No, that's where you're wrong, Pete. One secret jealously guarded from the public by the medical fraternity. The fact there exists not only one, but several types of deadly poison which, once assimilated into the human body, cannot be detected.
But, Ann, you mean you think someone at that shindig may have poisoned Barnaby before all that crowd?
It's possible. There were at least two people present who might have had reason to want him out of the way.
You mean...
Exactly. Nicky and the Countess Philippa.
But how? When?
I don't know. That's what I've been wondering. Pete, you saw Barnaby afterwards, didn't you? Close up, I mean.
Why, yes.
Tell me, were there any scratches or punctures on him that you could see?
No, not a... Wait a minute. Come to think of it, there was one tiny little scratch on his face.
Oh?
The faintest sort of a mark as if he'd nicked himself while shaving.
Could it have been the hole left by a very small dart? A needle-thin sliver of steel which might have been dipped in poison?
Well, if you're looking for cockeyed possibilities, yes. But how could either Nicky or the Countess have...
Permanentes, Nicky's pistol.
Pistol?
Quick cigarette lighter. It was pointed at Barnaby a few minutes before he killed over yesterday. A man with a knack for mechanics might have rigged that trick lighter into a lethal weapon. Driver.
Yes, ma'am?
Do you know where the Shamrock Club is?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Go there, please, immediately.
Sure, okay.
Shamrock Club? Well, that's Nicky's place, Ann.
Yes, I know.
But you can't get in there without a pass or an invitation.
Oh, but you can. You told us Nicky gave you the freedom of the club, and you can take us in as your guest.
Oh, but Annie, I'm tired. I want some shut-eye.
Please do this for me. I've got a hunch that Walter Barnaby was murdered, and I'm going to play that hunch.
We return to Ann Rogers and Hot Copy in just a moment. But first, I'd like you to meet Mrs. Eaton. She's just made a big discovery.
Well, the credit really goes to my sister. You see, she dropped in one day and found me on my hands and knees scrubbing the kitchen linoleum.
That's not good.
You're kinder than my sister. She said, you ought to be ashamed. Wearing yourself out like that and wearing out your linoleum, too. My goodness, haven't you ever heard of O-Cedar self-polishing wax?
And you said?
Well, I told her I had. And she really gave me a lecture. She said if I used O-Cedar self-polishing wax regularly, I'd never have to scrub my floors.
I'll bet she did. I'll bet she told you O-Cedar self-polishing wax puts a protective finish on linoleums and all floors that seals them against dirt and grime, makes it easy to wipe up spilled things, makes hard scrubbing unnecessary.
Yes, and you're both right. O-Cedar self-polishing wax has taken a lot of hard work out of my housework.
Of course it has. And friends, remember, O-Cedar self-polishing wax needs no rubbing or buffing. You simply apply, then let it dry. And now, back to Hot Copy. The anti-vice candidate for mayor has dropped dead under peculiar circumstances, and Ann Rogers suspects murder. Now, with two companions, she enters a notorious gambling casino on the trail of the killer.
Noir. Faites vos jeux, mesdames et messieurs, faites vos jeux. La boule bas, rien ne va plus.
Gosh, friendship. Thinking, Yeah,
Very.
Sucker's paradise. All these wealthy old goats are here with paper dolls that they can call their own. Until they go broke.
I see. That way, huh? No wonder they made you park your camera in the check room.
How much you gonna invest, Annie?
Oh, nothing just yet. You go ahead. I'll stand here and watch for a few minutes.
Watch. What is there to see?
Plenty. Countess Melissa just came in waving a cigarette holder like a scepter. I want to see what she does.
Yeah, and there's Nicky who just came out of his office.
I think I'll walk over and speak to him.
You want me to come with you?
No, I'll be right back. Mr. Deliano?
Yes, mademoiselle?
I'd like to speak to you for a moment.
A pleasure, mademoiselle.
But not here. If we might go somewhere less public.
Oh, mademoiselle, if it concerns a matter of money, the club cashier...
No, it's not that. My name is Ann Rogers.
Pardon? Do you say Ann Rogers? Not the author of the column Second Glance?
Yes, I write Second Glance.
Oh, but this is an unexpected pleasure, my dear Miss Rogers. Come, we will go to my private office. This way, please.
Thank you.
Here we are. Make yourself comfortable, Miss Rogers. A cigarette?
No, thank you. Yes, I think I would like a cigarette if you don't mind.
Certainement. It's for certain, mademoiselle. Turkish in this compartment, domestic in the other.
Thank you. I'm afraid I happen to light.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Here, allow me.
How stupid of me. I didn't notice those matches on your desk. Didn't you have a rather unusual lighter, Mr. Deliano? I saw you earlier this evening at the anti-vice party.
Really?
Yes, I couldn't help noticing the lighter. It was so quaint. In the shape of an old-fashioned dueling pistol, I believe.
Yes, I admire it, too. It is too bad I lost it.
Lost it?
Yes, perhaps in the car. I don't really know. But you wanted to speak to me privately, Miss Rogers. What is it?
Yes. About the candidate for mayor, Walter Barnaby. I understand he used to be one of your regular patrons.
Miss Rogers, if you do not mind my saying so, while I have the utmost admiration for your work, you are, after all, a newspaper woman. In my business, one does not discuss patronage.
Please, don't misunderstand me, Mr. Delianos. I'm not trying to dig up scandal against Mr. Barnaby. In fact, it would be senseless to do so now.
Je ne le comprends pas.
You mean you didn't know that Barnaby is dead?
Dead? Barnaby dead? Nilsson.
You're shocked. Does that mean so much to you?
Yes, no. I do not know. It is, I just say, observe the upper cart. It is off.
But if he'd lived, he was pledged to put you out of business.
That? Oh, never. He dare not touch Nicky. He owed me too much to risk offending me.
Then he did owe you money, a lot?
Well, yes, but...
He could have refused to pay. Gambling debt is strictly a debt of honor, not valid in a court of law. On the whole, Mr. Delianos, it appears you had more to gain than to lose by Barnaby's sudden death.
Mademoiselle, if you are attempting to imply that...
Nicky, voici, c'est incroyable.
Barnaby! Oh, I beg your pardon. I did not know you had a guest.
It does not matter. Countess, this is the famous newspaper columnist, Miss Anne Rogers. Miss Rogers, Her Highness, the Comtesse Sophia de Vita.
How do you do? Enchanté. Countess seems excited. No, of course not. Merely.
Her Highness is, what you say, very strong type. Always she is overflowed with the excitement. N'est-ce pas?
Yes, but of course. That is it. Just now, I am wild because I am bouleversé. I cannot win the baccarat, and I lose at la roulette. Oh, I am angry, you see? Yes, I see. You mentioned a name as you entered, the name of Barnaby. Name? I mentioned a name? Oh, mais no. Countess, isn't it true that you were very, friendly with Walter Barnaby? Why, yes. Yes, it is true. He and I were friends. Oh? I noticed you used the past tense. Then you know he was murdered tonight. Yes, I know. But I swear to you, I know nothing about it. I do not want to become involved. I did not...
Shut up, you fool. This woman has no right to question you. You need answer nothing she asks.
I'm afraid she's answered more than I've asked already. See, Countess, you acknowledge knowing Barnaby had been murdered tonight. I'm certain you didn't get that information from the newspapers, because so far that theory has not been publicly advanced.
See, you little fool.
You did see the announcement of his death in the papers, I presume? Yes, I did. Oh, Nicky, why did you do it? I told you I could handle him. There was no reason for you to...
You stupid idiot, be still.
This is all very interesting, but I fear I must leave you charming people for the time being. I want to see those newspapers myself and talk to Detective Inspector Collins. No, I shouldn't attempt to block the door, Mr. Delianos. I have friends outside who know I came in here. It would be wiser to let me leave peaceably. And if I were you, I'd make no effort to leave town until you've been interviewed by the police. Goodbye.
Well, this used to be the Cross, Annie. I think I got 'em all.
Let's see. Herald, Banner, Globe, News. It's your paper, Pete.
Yeah, that's the old rag that underpays me. So what's this all about, Annie? You told Collins over the phone a few minutes ago that he'd better pick up Nicky and the Countess on suspicion.
Yeah. And I thought it might be a good idea to look at the pictures you fellows took of Barnaby just before he collapsed. Might be a clue of some sort in him, you know?
You've got detecting on the brain, Ann. This is nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Let's see. Here's the Herald shot. Nope, not much here.
Of course not. I told you.
And the Globe. Foggy picture of Barnaby's left profile.
Yep, that's Joe Wilkes. Always overexposes.
Yeah, let's try the Banner. Not very quick, this photographer. Barnaby surrounded by a crowd.
Gotta be on your toes in this game, Annie.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, let's see what kind of a picture you got.
Mine is probably the cream of the crop. Oh, come on, Annie. Cut this silly stuff and let's go somewhere and get a nightcap.
Pete.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Where's your picture? You took one, didn't you?
Sure, why? Isn't it there?
No, here are a couple of the pictures you took early in the evening. Crowd at the party. Barnaby shaking hands with the party's chairman. There's no shot of his death.
Huh? Let me see. Well, what do you think of that? I waste a whole evening covering that dumb shindig, and when something hot happens, the makeup man leaves my picture out. Lets every lens hound in town scoop me. Of all the rotten luck.
Gee, that's tough. Let me see, Annie.
Spritely, who you tore that in half?
Huh? Me? I did nothing of the sort.
Did you stupid, blundering
Now,
little
wait a
fool?
minute, Annie. You tore it yourself. I didn't.
I don't know what's come over you lately, Spritely. You used to be a good secretary, an assistant who really assisted, but you've become careless, slovenly, and...
What? Now, see here, Annie.
And don't talk back to me. I'm tired of your endless excuses. You better go home.
What? Say, who do you think you are?
Never mind who I think I am. Get out of here, I see. And I think you better stay away. You can start looking for a new job in the morning, Miss Poole. I need better and more competent assistance than you can give me.
Oh, now, Ann, you're upset. Spritely didn't mean any harm.
That's just it. She never means any harm, but she never does any good. Well, I need someone capable of handling difficult situations, and she doesn't measure up to the job. So, well, what are you waiting for? I told you to go, didn't I? Well, get out.
Miss Rogers, I suppose you know what this means.
I know exactly what it means.
And you know what you're doing?
Oh, please,
Yes,
Annie.
I know what I'm doing.
All right. And goodbye. And I hope you choke.
You censured!
Ann, are you sure you didn't move a bit suddenly?
Now, Pete, don't you start to. I've had about all I can stand for one day. Fed up with Spritely's carelessness.
But I don't understand. I've never seen you like this before, and you certainly have a temper.
Please, I'd rather not discuss it.
But you've always been such good friends.
Please, Pete.
Okay. It's none of my business. Well, I guess I'd better be running along, Ann. I'll see you later.
No, wait. Pete?
Why, Miss Rogers, you astonish me. The two of us, all alone in this big building, at this hour of the night. I didn't know you cared.
Oh, don't be funny, Pete. I just wanted to discuss the Barnaby case.
Oh, the Barnaby case. Still on that subject, huh? What about it?
Well, there's lots of things. Like, why should he have been killed? Nicky wouldn't have done it. Barnaby owed him money. Countess wouldn't have done it. He was lavishing gifts on her, so...
Ann, just what are you driving at?
Driving at? Nothing, just thinking out loud.
Same old Sherlock Rogers, huh? But the funny part of it is, your thinking usually gets results. Ann, hold that pose a minute, will you?
Why? What are you going to do?
Oh, just getting the old camera out. A whim. I'd like to have a shot at the famous Ann Rogers' feminine intuition in operation.
No.
What's the matter, Ann?
I said no. But, point that camera at me.
So you know Ann, huh?
No. Please, you're hurting my arm.
You figured that I killed Barnaby. Then you didn't go for my little act about the makeup editor not using my picture, huh?
No, I'm afraid not, Pete. No more than I could go for your explanation as to how a cameraman working for a modest salary could afford to gamble at the Shamrock Club. What was it, Pete? Blackmail?
Yeah, it was blackmail. I had a dozen pictures of Barnaby gambling at the club, and with the counter scraped around his shoulders.
Pictures taken in the club. They don't allow cameras in there.
I'm pretty cute with a camera, Ann. I used a vest pocket rig with a plunger in my pants pocket. Swell for candid camera shots.
But why kill him, Pete, if he was paying you blackmail?
He was. But the worm turned tonight. Barnaby told me he was going to have me behind bars. He forced my hand. And I had to get rid of him. Just as I'm going to get rid of you, Ann Rogers. With this little gadget in my camera.
It shoots a poison dart.
Oh, yes, Ann. Very tiny. Very deadly. Its puncture looks like a little scratch. Remember? No one will ever suspect. I'm really sorry about this, Ann. I like you.
No, Pete.
I can promise you it won't hurt. Cut it out, you little wildcat. There's no one here to help you. Stop struggling, you.
Help!
Stop it.
Spritely!
Stop your...
Help!
Stop now. All right, Miss Sherlock. You always get your man, don't you? Congratulations.
Yes, Spritely. He's dead. Driver, go to 72nd and Vanderbilt, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Annie, sometimes I think your column's name ought to be Second Sight instead of Second Glance. How did you know it was McNulty? Something you saw in those newspapers?
No, something I didn't see in them. Pete's picture of Barnaby's death. McNulty was a blackmailer, but he was also too good a cameraman to miss a shot like that. Unless his camera had been otherwise engaged. Somehow when I discovered his paper had no pictures of collapse, it all made sense to me.
And that's when you went into your little act with me. Gosh, you had me scared for a minute. When you were so emphatic, it finally dawned on me that you were trying to give me a message.
I tried to make it plain enough. I said I need better and more competent assistance than you can give me.
Yeah, and I need someone capable of handling difficult situations. Then I knew you'd stumbled onto something and wanted the police. Luckily, I found one outside the building.
Yeah, you got back just in the nick of time.
Oh, I say. But, Annie, I can't help wondering, are you sure you were just play acting when you said that lately I'd become careless and slovenly in my work?
Of course, Spritely. Now, honestly, will you tell me something?
What?
Do you really think I'm a substitute?
Now, ain't that enough to make you beat your brains out? Two nice-looking dolls like them. Try this who dolls.
O. Cedar now brings you an interview with a member of the Women's Army Corps. It's Corporal Henrietta Robinson, attached to Company A, WAC Headquarters Company at Fort Sheridan. Corporal, may I fire when ready?
Go right ahead.
Well, I understand you had more than a year's service with the WACs, Corporal. Is that right?
Yes, I enlisted in September 1942.
Well, they tell me you requested bakers and cook school.
Yes, I did. My brother in the Navy always said a good cook was the most important member of any ship's company, so I decided to try my hand at cooking for the Army.
Well, I understand in civilian life you were a bookkeeper.
Yes, but I'm still glad I picked cooking as my WAC specialty. It's entirely different than anything I've ever done, and I'm crazy about it.
Well, tell me this, Corporal. Do many of the girls who have careers in civilian life choose a different type of work when they join the WAC?
Yes, Mr. Dowd, many of them do. Girls like myself, who have always done office or administrative work, enjoy doing something new. And you know, WAC recruits have a chance of qualifying for any one of 239 different kinds of jobs. So there's plenty of choice.
I understand that girls enlisting in the WAC can now choose the type of job, the branch of service, and even the location they prefer before they enlist. Is that right?
Yes, it is, and it's working out very well. I only hope more and more girls and women will take advantage of it.
Then, as a WAC yourself, I take it you recommend joining the WAC.
Absolutely. When you're a WAC, you're doing a full-time job for Uncle Sam. You're right in there pitching, and it's interesting and fun besides.
Thank you, Corporal Robinson. Goodbye and happy landing. Yes, the Women's Army Corps, the WAC, offers the women of this country a glorious opportunity to help in the fight for freedom. If you're between the age of 20 and 50, go to your local WAC recruiting station tomorrow and learn how you can help your country by serving in the WAC. And incidentally, learn how service in the WACs can help you. Hot Copy, starring Betty Lou Gerson as Ann Rogers, is written by Nelson Bond and produced under the direction of Martin Mugner. O. Cedar, the greatest name in housekeeping, invites you to tune in again next Sunday afternoon for another stirring presentation of Hot Copy. O. Cedar is the family name of a complete line of household aids tested and proved in millions of homes for 2 generations. Keep O. Cedar always in your home. O. Cedar polishes and waxes for cleaning and polishing furniture, woodwork, and floors. O. Cedar touch-up furniture polish for hiding scars and scratches. O. Cedar cleaners for upholstery and rugs, and for windows, woodwork, and surfaces of all kinds. O. Cedar polish and dust mops. O. Cedar moth-proofing products to protect your clothing from moths. Remember, O. Cedar takes the hard work out of housework. Here's what women say about O. Cedar.
Oh, Cedar? Why, that's the greatest name in housekeeping.
Your announcer is Don Dowd. This is the Blue Network.
Welcome back. On this podcast, we hear a lot of Betty Lou Gerson as a femme fatale or an antagonist. And of course, she's a Disney legend because she was the voice behind Cruella de Vil. So it's fun to hear her as the heroine. It's the same way that if you've watched a lot of horror movies, it's kind of a treat to hear Vincent Price playing the good guy on The Saint. I will say that the quality of her acting made the firing the sidekick ruse far more believable. And maybe too believable. I think it's just my experience with her voice. But I'm like, what's going on here? Will Spritely be okay? She was just too good at this. I actually was suspicious of the photographer, though I think they did a good job with misdirection. It may have been more the actor's performance. But the episode does show that Anne's not perfect. She can take a wrong turn, but ultimately will do what she has to in order to get her man. So, a really fun episode and a good look at the character. Now, it should be noted that at this point in the series, the stories are written by Nelson Bond, who might be familiar to you if you listen to the amazing world of radio. He wrote a great Christmas script for Dr. Christian in December 1944, shortly after Hot Copy ended, which we played back in 2023. But Bond really made his mark in terms of long-term reputation as a pioneer science fiction writer. He started in the 30s writing for the pulps and then for Slick magazines, and he published multiple anthologies as well as a novel, and then ended up retiring from writing in 1959. But he had a lot of fans and supporters in the science fiction community, including the great Harlan Ellison. And with that encouragement, he wrote a new short story in 1995, which is encouraging to those of us who are in a bit of a block on our fiction. If it's not a 36-year block, it's not that bad. Now, he was recognized as an author emeritus by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America, who give out the Nebula Award, so you had an incredible talent who was writing radio mysteries for Betty Lou Gerson. Well, I've referenced the Hot Copy Radio Theater at the top of the podcast, and if you're curious about it, you can certainly go and listen to an episode. But we will be talking about it in more detail next week, and we'll have a rare interview on our podcast. We generally don't do them, but we'll be making an exception, as next week I'll talk to Rhonda Sigler-Ware, who plays the role of Ann Rogers, and I hope you'll be with us then. That will, of course, play after we've played the last circulating episode of Hot Copy. So it'll be a good time, and then in 2 weeks, we will begin playing episodes of Charlie Chan. Now it's time to thank our Patreon supporter of the day, and I want to go ahead and thank Mark. Mark's been one of our Patreon supporters since March 2020, currently supporting the podcast at the Shamus level of $4 or more per month. Thanks so much for your support, Mark, and that will do it for today. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. And be sure to rate and review the podcast wherever you download it from. We'll be back next Tuesday with another episode of Hot Copy, but join us back here tomorrow for Broadway's My Beat, where...
What happened this morning? How come $100,000 worth of narcotics was stolen from the Acme Pharmaceutical Company?
Let me tell you something. All that merchandise running around loose will play hob with it.
It's going to do just that, Mr. Vaughn, unless you decide to get off the dime.
Fire your questions at me, Mr. Clover.
What's the routine here? I mean, when one of your men is assigned to make a delivery, what happens? How does it work?
With efficiency and dispatch, like so. Our man is given a parcel for delivery to various supply houses and medical people. At the same time, he is given a route card.
Then he doesn't know the route until immediately before he leaves here.
Precisely. He goes downstairs to the garage. The dispatcher gets his car. The attendant hands him his keys. He drives out of the garage, picks up a guard at the corner, and proceeds.
I see. Well, what's your opinion as to what happened earlier today about the robbery?
One needs no great perception to know that. Wilbur Douglas shot and killed the guard Joe Mazurek and absconded with the narcotics. Yeah, disgraceful. And Douglas with a wife and 4 little...
I hope you'll be with us then. In the meantime, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives, and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/greatdetectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.